Hey guys, Jack on Wrist here, back with another video. And in today's video, I want to talk about the overall ownership experience of Grand Seiko. Now, I have personally owned my Grand Seiko SBGT035 for about 6 months now, and I feel like I can speak pretty well about what it's like overall owning a Grand Seiko, the pros and the cons, the advantages, the disadvantages. And so if you're someone out there that is debating whether or not a Grand Seiko is for you, whether it's the right brand for you, whether or not you should be purchasing one in the near future, take a listen to what I have to say, and hopefully I can help you get a better understanding of what it's like to own one and whether or not it is right for you. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video, starting off with the advantages of Grand Seiko. So starting off with the advantages of Grand Seiko, I think the really cool thing about Grand Seiko as a brand is that you really get exactly what you think you're going to get with Grand Seiko. At least for me, going into the buying experience, I knew that the three main things about Grand Seiko was that they made beautiful dials, they had beautiful finished watches, and that their movements were really, really cool. And that's exactly what I would take away from my 6-month experience thus far with the watch that I own. Like I said, the SBGT035. I mean, overall, those three main qualities are true. I love the dial on my particular Grand Seiko, even though it isn't the most intricate of dials that they can make. I'll put up some photos on screen of some of the really, really cool dials that I personally like from the brand. Even though mine isn't the most intricate, I really think it is so beautiful to look at. There's still so much detail with it. Talking about the finishing, it is just beautiful how the light reflects off not only the case and the bracelet, but the hands and the indices. It is just so cool to have a watch that just gleams and looks so beautiful in the natural light on a day-to-day basis. And finally, with the movement, I mean, I have a 9F83 quartz caliber movement inside of my Grand Seiko that keeps time at plus minus 10 seconds a year. After 6 months, it's keeping time at plus 4 seconds, which is well within that tolerance of 10 seconds a year. And it is just so cool to have a watch that you can rely on that precisely, that is this elegant and beautiful. I mean, I've had watches that are really good timekeepers, like my G-Shock GWM5610, which is actually a radio controlled module watch that has basically the exact time synced to it through radio waves, just like your phone. And that's cool. It's great that you can really rely on that time to the exact second. But to have a watch like this that is this elegant and this well finished and just has a luxury feel to it that you can count on to the exact second, it is a special feeling that I would not trade for anything else. And so, like I said, those three main takeaways that you think you're going to get before you buy a Grand Seiko are 100% there when you actually get it in your hands, get it on wrist, and get to experience it in real life. So let's talk negatives with Grand Seiko, because no watch brand is perfect. And I will say the interesting thing about Grand Seiko is that the negative points I'm about to mention are going to really vary among different collectors. For some of you out there, the negative points are not going to matter whatsoever, and for that reason, maybe Grand Seiko is the perfect brand for you. And for some of you else out there, it's going to be the exact reasons why you don't want to buy a Grand Seiko. So let's jump right into it with the first negative point here, which is you're not getting a premier Swiss-made watch for the money. I think that does bother a lot of people. Grand Seiko watches are still going to be relatively expensive. On the low end, it's going to cost you around $1,000 for a 9F quartz caliber pre-owned model. And at the top of the lineup, it's going to maybe cost you closer to $10,000 for a brand new spring drive movement watch. And so, that's pretty expensive, 10 grand at the high end. And so that does bother some people, that you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars, but you don't get Rolex on the dial, you don't get JLC on the dial or Omega. Now, does it matter to me? No, not one single bit. So don't crucify me in the comment section down below. It does not matter to me. Obviously I bought this Grand Seiko because I love it and I don't really care about the origin or the type of movement inside of it, but that will bother a lot of people out there. I know people that are more quote unquote snobby and won't buy a watch that isn't from Switzerland, especially if it's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And I would say the second negative point for Grand Seiko is that if you truly want to experience Grand Seiko, you will take a look at their 9F quartz caliber or their spring drive movements, the two movements that I think really set them apart as a company from the rest of the world. And the issue with that is those are not traditional mechanical movements. And again, that will bug some people to spend thousands of dollars on a watch and have it not truly be a fully mechanical watch. I think Federico Talks Watches actually himself, he bought a spring drive Grand Seiko and he actually ended up just flipping it because it bugged him. For whatever reason, it just bugged him that it wasn't a fully mechanical watch. And I think there are a lot of people out there that have that similar experience. But if you're like me and you really don't care if it ticks or if it glides because it's a spring drive or it's a quartz caliber, then you're going to love your experience with Grand Seiko, because you're going to be able to fully embrace the real specialty of their movements. And so obviously it really depends, like I said earlier, on who you are as a collector. These negative points will maybe not matter to you whatsoever, or maybe they will matter to you so much that you can't even look at a Grand Seiko. But let me know in the comment section down below where you stand on those negative points. So that's pretty much it for this video. After 6 months, I've really enjoyed my time with my Grand Seiko. Hopefully I've added a little bit of depth to the conversation in terms of whether or not it's the right fit for you. Grand Seiko, like I said, is kind of, you see it and you kind of know what you're going to get. If you're someone who will already fit that criteria of someone who will enjoy the brand, then I know you're going to absolutely love your watch and your experience. But if you're someone who really kind of will be bothered by certain aspects of it, again, I really don't know if it's the right fit for you. But with that being said, that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.